So I feel like I just had a little bit of a success. And I kind of wanted to wait for maybe a few people to see that I'm going live so they could jump in here. How's everyone doing? It's Tuesday, December the 9th. Okay, well, I might as well get started. And then those that watch it. Oh, gosh, darn it. Oh, man. And then those that come on board afterwards can watch it from the beginning. Oh, we got one person showed up. Who's here? Make a comment so I can say hello to the first arriving subscriber. Oh, two. Leave a comment, you two, so I know who's the first ones to show up. Okay, well, I'll just jump into what just transpired. Okay, so I'm doing a lot of different activities, uploading some videos, watching videos, praying, occasionally walking the dog here and there. I had to go somewhere earlier this morning, so I did that. But anyways, so now I'm like 4 hours at home. And just like every day, all night, just paces back and forth. This is like, all he has is like me, a room that's literally like 10 by 12 feet. And he's just walking all day, all night. And he's got these creaky floorboards. And then he'll drop heavy things too. So it's just constant racket, even when you're trying to sleep in the middle of the night. And it's funny because when I first moved in here, he seemed like he was working at least 20 hours a week. Now it seems like he's working like maybe 12 at the most. And I bet you it's because his superiors are saying, no, we need you more here. Tell your boss at the work you can't accept that many hours for now, because we need you on top of this guy nonstop, 24/7. And I'm pretty sure that's probably what's going on, because the guy's hours have basically been cut in half. And he's just at home day and night, night and day, pacing the floors back and forth, back and forth. So only once out of a whole almost 2 years of dealing with that. And the first 2 weeks, I didn't sleep. He wanted a beef with me. And the first 2 weeks, it was World War III all night long. So one time in the middle of the night, he did the dropping heavy objects, and it woke me up. And then within the next 30 minutes, he did it 2 more times. So 3 really heavy drops to where you feel it. It's violent, So I got up and I had this piece of wood, and I put a cloth over the top and banged my ceiling twice. And of course, just like predictable, he starts yelling, throws a temper tantrum, and I just stayed quiet and ignored his little temper tantrum. And then the next day, I told him, that's the only time I've ever tried to communicate to you in the middle of the loud noises in the middle of the night that wake me up, to please keep the noise at a respectable level. Because you've never admitted once to dropping heavy objects in the middle of the night when I'm trying to sleep. You've never admitted that to that. So I did that one night, and I might have to do that again. If you're dropping really heavy objects over and over and over in the middle of the night, I'll do that again just to communicate to you, hey, whatever you're doing, can you cut it out so I can sleep? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm trying to sleep. That's all that means. And he just stayed quiet. So I thought, it's a good time, because he's for 4 hours just been pacing. Every now and then something loud would drop. So I took this board and I, just like before, I hit the ceiling twice. Immediately he starts taking something or jumping up and down while he's yelling cuss words and throwing a full blown temper tantrum. I didn't do anything. But the yelling kept going and the jumping up and down on my ceiling kept going. And so I said, shut up. And it kept going. The yelling kept going. I can't hear a single word. All I hear is yelling and cussing. So I said it again, shut up. I didn't yell. I just tried to say it loud enough so he could hear me. What happens within about 10 minutes, I get a knock on the door. But it's good in a way. How I look upon it, he thinks I'm in trouble, but anything to get away from this person. So I've been calling like the headquarters for this agency that owns this apartment complex. It's a couple miles from here. And the woman that I've been playing phone tag with happened to come by and was here. And so she came by with the apartment manager and some maintenance guy, and they're all standing at my front door and they say, can we talk? And I say, sure, let me get some sandals on. So we go over to the main office, and they offer me to move for free. Before they were saying I'd have to pay $250 to get away from this guy's heavy, heavy focus on destroying my peace. So then they're saying, we'll move you free of charge. So it's up in the air on if I, because I want a bottom floor because my dog can't handle stairs, and I want it facing the parking lot. And yes, I know I could still get someone loud above me, but it's most apartments. Like there's this gentleman that I go on. I've watched TV with him several times, and I've never heard the people above him even once. And I've seen the people go up the stairs, and I never heard any noises from them. And there were stints of time where he would be in the hospital for a week or two at a time. And sometimes I would just kick it in his pad and watch TV for an hour or two. Never heard anyone ever. And when I would go visit, I'd usually be there for an hour or two. So, this is probably set up for targeted individuals because these floorboards are so old and rickety that he walks on. And he's got a huge gut, and he's like maybe 5'11". So he's kind of a big guy. I'm sure he weighs probably 210 at least. And, when he walks around, I'm sure he's not wearing socks, and I can tell he's stomping as hard as he can. So it's just this constant, just, torture. It's like water torture. Water isn't that bad at first, but when you have to listen to it day in, day out, month in, month out, now year in, year out, it just grates on you after a while because it's like, can't I just get some peace? You used to at least work 20 hours a week. Now you barely work 10 hours a week. It's funny though, when I make these videos, he goes completely quiet. I think he's watching. I think he, maybe there's a camera in here. I don't know. But so they offer me to move without charges. Great. I say it should be fair, because I have no issues with anyone, but this guy has been on my tip. He's wanted to take me down ever since I moved in. And it's just frustrating as all get out. But then they go and they lie about me because I bring up when the officer came here and about how he was treated so well when he made terrorist threats, threatening to kick my ass, actually got spit in my face, yelling the F word in my face, and was barking out orders to me to go away from his stoop. And all I said was calmly, I didn't cuss, I didn't raise my voice. All I said was, I know you're making lots of noise at night on purpose, all night long. I've known it the very first week I lived here, and he just went off. And then because he made those terrorist threats, I called the police because I want a record, if it's going to escalate like that. And the police officer spoke to him 1 minute and me 30 minutes. and was extremely rude and accusatory and so on and so forth. And then went by the apartment management and smeared me. And then they agreed to say that I put my foot over his threshold and put my foot in his apartment and wouldn't leave and wouldn't move my foot. I was like, first of all, I would never do that. And if I would never do that, why would I tell you that I did that? That's a lie. I said that straight to the manager's face in front of her boss. And she was like, well, no, the police officer said that too. I said, let's get the body camera. I never said that. I never said, I don't like words being put in my mouth and then being put down on a permanent document that's in a file, in a filing cabinet, you know? But, when you're a chosen one, you got to cut bait, you got to cut your losses. Um, but I'm just really, really glad. And it's because I had been giving like one phone call a week to this woman, and she'd give me one phone call back. So we were playing phone tag. And then I left an email too. And then they lied too. They say that she said she heard me yelling at him. I wasn't yelling at him. I said two words, shut up. And okay, I did say it twice, but she said, and we have a resident that said that she was very scared because outside there was two grown men yelling and screaming at each other. Once again, I didn't yell, I didn't scream. I told him to shut up because in my mind, I'm just so amazed at what a little crying infant baby he acts like. I'm sorry to say something so negative against a fellow human being, but he literally has a temper tantrum problem, anger management problem. And so they lied on that too, because I bet you no tenant even complained because this guy's door was shut and he was yelling at his floor down to me. And I only said, shut up, just barely loud enough for him to hear it. And so it's just so hilarious, though, how these gang stalkers can literally act like a 2 year old or a 3 year old, and you just took their favorite bouncing ball, just ripped it out of their hands. And that's the way he reacts with most things, full blown temper tantrums. And he doesn't get in trouble, doesn't get any problems. And they say he is a perfect client. He has not had one single complaint, and he's lived here for years, always above people. So we have to give him more credit than you because you're complaining about this guy the next to you, you're complaining about this guy above you. Now you've made some complaints about the guy that moved in across the way. And it's like, well, um, I'm being tormented and I have the audio tapes, to prove it. I spend 5 minutes in the kitchen. If I used to, now I don't spend any time in the kitchen, but I'd spend about 5 minutes a day in the kitchen, and he would taunt me from his bedroom the whole time. I was only in there 5 minutes, and he would go in there. He goes still every day, almost a minimum of 2 hours. He spent 4 hours a day cooking and preparing food. It's like, dude, if you're gonna spend 2 hours making dinner, at least make enough for tomorrow night too. You know, it's not that hard. Um, but anyways, so that's the good news is that I'm gonna be moving out from underneath this gentleman. Hey, Sheldon, Steve, the pigeon. Always try and be positive. Yeah, I try. Uh, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your first name. Uh, Kashian or Katian. I am very sorry to hear that, but they are truly wrong. Yeah, but as someone that's been going through these kinds of scenarios your whole life, it's all about trying to do the best you can to just roll with the punches. Because we can get way ahead of ourselves. Well, what if what they wrote in this record, this lie about me, then goes somewhere else and then goes somewhere else, and you can end up like losing sleep and then going there and demanding that they take that out of that letter. They delete that because that's a lie, and then they say, well, no, you said that directly to me. maybe you don't remember, and then you're what level do you go to next after that? You got to go to a court, hash it out. You know what? We got to choose our battles. Hey, Steve the Pigeon entered another comment. I have that tactic where the neighbors report they're scared. I confronted them and said, "Are you scared of me?" And they said, "No." Yeah. I had some woman, actually, the manager said, more than one person said that I try to follow people around and give them free therapy. That's so bizarre because therapy is mainly listening and asking the right questions. So am I following people around listening to them? I don't understand. Or following people around and going, how did that make you feel when you were a child? First, they'd have to tell me something that happened in their childhood. So, it just doesn't make sense at all. Um, oh, first like. Good job, John. Hit that like button, you guys. Hit that like button. So, but it's the same with everything. You want to be as calm and peaceful as you can, but I really think that going above, I wasn't getting anywhere dealing with management here on the grounds. But I think, one of you guys made the suggestion to make a few phone calls to the company off of the apartment complex. And I was already thinking that, and not killing them, not calling them 5 times in a day, but calling once every 2 or 3 days, or like I did, like once a week, and then emailing on the third week. Um, because what it's saying is, I need help and I can't get it here, you know? But I just don't like all the lying against me, saying I put my foot in his apartment. Everyone knows that's illegal. I wasn't invited into his apartment. And this guy's bigger than me, has like 70 pounds of weight on me. I'm not going to try to do anything to get him to be physical with me or violent. That's ridiculous. And, it's all in collaboration because they know they're not acting appropriate. And so the police officer and the apartment management probably came together and agreed we have to say he did something illegal. What should we say he did that was illegal? Because the body camera is of me lecturing him and going to him over and over, take your hands out of your pockets, take your hands out of your pockets, take your hands out of your pockets. It's like, dude, chill out. I called you because I didn't like someone making a physical threat against my safety. So obviously I'm someone that doesn't like violence. I'm calling you for help, you know? And then the police officer telling me that I was in the wrong. I was in the wrong. How would I feel if someone came up to my stoop and made false accusations and then wouldn't leave? I'd wish them a good evening and shut the door calmly in their face. But this guy was in my face demanding that I follow his orders. Get out of here now. And I'd say, I'm not going anywhere. I'm trying to ask you calmly to stop purposefully dropping heavy objects in the middle of the night. Get the No, I don't have to go just because you're acting like a crazed maniac. So, no, the guy could get a grip on his emotions and go, no, I don't do it on purpose, and shut the door. So he had to make something up, and then he went and told the lie to the apartment management, and she put it in the paperwork. I am still going through gang stalking, but it's just narcissism. Uh, I think you meant to say narcissism and harassment. You are just an emotional punching bag to everything. It's sad. I would suggest to try to fight back or stand up for you. And that's what I'm trying to share with you guys is I did, do something that helped. Because the worst feeling is there's no viable way for me to pursue through this, right? To where, like, I know in this community, the court system's against me, the police are against me, apartment management's against me. tenants are against me. My church congregation's against me. My church clergy. My main gang stalkers, the whole time I've lived up here 3.5 years, are my church clergy. Actually, men of the cloth, wearing a Roman Catholic collar. They came for me fast and furious. I wasn't even here a week before they started coming for me. The deacons, that's what's really bizarre. And that's what, because, you know, I listen to a lot of Christian YouTubers that always say it's a relationship, not religionship, and it's like, I don't know why, like, that guy Justice wants to talk about that all day long and just say that you cannot follow a religion, no matter what form of Christianity, and be a good Christian. It's like, no, dude, I could do everything you do that makes you a perfect Christian in your mind, and I can go to church service too on Sunday. You can do both. Um, but so I've always appreciated the Catholic faith because I was raised in it, and it's the first 1400 years of Christianity. And I studied it, and these saints, the experiences they've had are just beautiful, beautiful testimonies to the existence of God and how close He can really grow to us. Um, Anyways, let me read another comment. Oh, okay, it's still just the same comment. Yeah, they want to make you an emotional punching bag, right? And it is sad, but like, even my own brother had free reign with me. He could do whatever he wanted with me anytime he wanted, even right in front of my parents, and they wouldn't even look. They just didn't care. They're just like, always, you guys work out your situations. But he was 5 years older than me. So when I was a 5 year old or a 6 year old, it's a 10 or an 11 year old. So it wasn't cool. And I would harsh my parents, especially my dad, for just letting him beat up on me and like tease me and tease me and tease me on like 2 hour car rides where I'd be bawling by the end of the car ride. And it's like, you were right there the whole time. You never said anything. So this one time, by going to the superior, the person against the gang, above the gang stalker or the narcissist in this situation, and getting them to be responsible. So my dad actually walked my brother into the sunroom, closed the door, and then he came out alone, shut the door behind him, and said, "Okay, I've got him in there, and I've told him I'm upset on how much he teases you. Is that enough? What else do you want me to do? You want me to spank him?" And I was like, "Hell yeah. The guy's been beating up on me right in front of you for years, and you never say anything. One good spanking that's the least you could do." And he like stumbled back in there and did what I told him to do. I was like 8, 9, or 10, somewhere in that range. So I really do think that no one likes getting in trouble. And so if you can document, go above, go to people's superiors, whatever. If they see that you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's, they become a little bit more weary. Even if you had a camera that was turned off, when they broke in your place and they saw that camera, oh my God, they probably wouldn't come back, even if it wasn't turned on. So, they don't want to get caught. They don't want to get in trouble. They don't want law enforcement to have to come and say, you got caught. We're going to have to turn a blind eye to that. We're going to protect you. Don't worry, but don't get caught again. So I really think that that's what was helping me, and that's what was kind of working in my favor. Steve, I'm in the same boat. I take the silence approach. At least my words can't be twisted. They still make things up, though. Yeah, I really agree. The silent approach is always the best. But once in a while, if you can, very calmly, coolly, and professionally call superiors or get in contact with someone up above and do things to let them know that you're documenting and that you have a camera now, and so on and so forth. In the same boat, I have been so demonized. It doesn't matter what they say about me. Yeah, that's the point you reach, is because, like, I'm not going to fight that battle to get that lie taken out of their paperwork, because there's no proof to it. The body camera footage is in existence, it's out there. Which reminds me, when I was attacked by this individual, there was all these body cameras, right? And they said I was just as guilty as him when I'm just covered in wounds and bite marks and broken fingers, and he had nothing, literally not one single scratch on him. And it was targeting. It fully was, and they didn't want to give me the body cam, and wouldn't give me access or where I could find it or anything. And then when they finally did, they gave it to me on a hard disk. Who has a laptop or a computer that takes a hard disk anymore? Well, floppy disk would even be older. But let me read another comment. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's where you get to the point to where nothing really matters much anymore because everything's going wrong almost all the time. Yeah, you get these little reprieves of time, right? These little 2 or 3 days, or you might travel for a week and just, oh, it's so nice when you get a reprieve. But basically, everything's falling apart all the time. Everything's going wrong almost all the time. And so you just become very but the reason why I banged the ceiling with this guy is cuz I told him just like 5 or 6 weeks ago that that'll be my way to communicate to you that the noise level has reached an unacceptable level. And I only did it that one time like 6 weeks ago. And so I thought he would understand, but he threw a full blown temper tantrum because he's a stalker and they want to get that reaction. So anything he can do to shove that thorn farther into my flesh, the better, to get a reaction. But it's funny, he can do whatever he wants and he never gets a 30-minute lecture from a police officer. He never gets pulled into the manager's office. He can do whatever he wants. He can yell the F word at this little dog, little yappy dog, all day long, where the whole apartment complex hears him. No problem. That's what's kind of irritating because it reminds me of my childhood. I can't tell you how many hundreds of times asked my mother, "Can you just treat me like an adult, like the way you treat my brother?" That's not a lot to ask for. But you treat me like I'm an infant and I'm incapable of anything. And you treat him like he's the most intelligent, best looking, best dressed, best family man, best dad, and you just treat him like gold. And one way she would always try to make that evident to big groups of people at like her birthday parties or Christmas parties is I would say, I want to go shopping for you today. Give me some ideas. She'd always just say, I don't need anything. And if you do get me something, you always get me cute earrings, very affordable, cheap, cute earrings. But don't get me anything. It's like BS. We've always gotten each other something our entire lives. So, and then she would go out and tell my brother a specific item that was like $350, $400. This specific pair of sunglasses at this specific shop in Main Street on Venice, in between Washington and blah, 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 blah. And so we'd get there and she would go gushing. She would literally act like, the second coming was happening. And then with me, she would go, "Oh, I love them, Shell. Thank you. You're so thoughtful." You know, you can tell they look like they're about $20, and his is 400. It's all a game. These people are so full of games. What's IDGAF stand for? I don't give a F. Not ready has another comment. Hey, I had a sister and family like that. Many of us have. Earlier today, someone left a comment saying, "The older I get, the more sinister I realize my sister is." And my first response was, you have no idea how common it is, especially in this day and age. Hey, thanks, John. I love you too, buddy. But so we're in this situation. I want to say thank you though to my subs, because I don't know how well I'd be dealing with this if I didn't have a community, and not just my channel, but other channels that I go to, where they reassure you that you're not alone in this. And more importantly, this tells us that we're on the right path, right? Because Jesus said straight out, if they hate you, remember they hated me first. He was gang stalked. They were trying to kill him. And he was a perfect man and a perfect God. And he's down here trying to teach us and make us better. And people wanted to kill him. He's sinless. And they were targeting him. So the better you are, like as righteousness, and the more aligned you are with him, the more the whole world's going to come at you. I saw this great picture. It was a painting, and it had a lamb standing there, and it had Jesus kind of bent, kind of near the lamb, kind of almost over the lamb, and he had two hands back, and each hand was on the chest of a wolf that had its fangs showing and were coming for the lamb. And then the last lamb was like trying to come up his back. So the good Lord is holding away three of these vicious wolves. They're showing their teeth, saliva's dripping, and this little lamb is defenseless except for the Lord, and that's all the lamb needed, right? So he's got this, everything. He's got the whole world in the palm of his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the mama and the papa in his hands. He's got the little baby child in his hands. And he really does. And so, Stephanie the Seeker, I was listening to a video of hers recently that said, if you were going into battle with pure evil, which is what demons are, and we are going into battle with them. We're in battle now, but it's going to be ramping up. Everyone's read the book of Revelation. And so if you were going into battle with pure evil, would you want soldiers that have really kind of been taking it easy, eating quiche, at this time of year, have a little bit extra pumpkin pie, a little apple pie. They got fun family members that love them, that they visit with every weekend. Everything's copacetic. Or would you rather have people that have been in spiritual battle every day of their lives for 50 years or more? You'd want those hardened individuals that have had evil right here every day of their lives for 50 years. And they might have some social or emotional scars still from what they've been subjected to. But they're the ones that don't get as skittish, right? When I moved into that haunted house about 7 years ago now, man, the first 3 months, I was a lunatic trying to cope with, things getting in bed with me, feeling little animals run across my feet when I was in bed. I just go on and on, pictures flying off the walls, my surfboard being totally moved when I was at work one day. The demon would hit the floorboards where I'd be standing from the basement. And he would hit the floorboards with such force that I'd get lifted up a little bit. And a couple times when I'd go in my bedroom, he would bang the inside of the closet door that's in my bedroom. And till eventually I was just like, oh, it's you again, And it's just like, if it's going to be there all day, every night, you get desensitized. You can get desensitized to just about anything. Just because it's so prevalent. It's always showing itself. And so that fear that was there that first 3 or 4 months totally just because I was able to live there a whole 3 years with demonic activity all day, all night, but mainly at night. Um, so the good Lord's allowing all of this, and we just have to continue to, when we get low, like I just spent, okay, listen to this. The last week of August started serious spiritual attacks, and they lasted all September, were mainly nightmares every night, all night, so vivid. And then it actually went all the way into first week and a half of October. And I was fasting, I was praying, I was doing more religious activity and trying to bond more with the Lord than I ever have in my entire life. And and the attacks on the 6th, 7th, and the 8th just caused me to look like a wreck. And then I got the brain fog so bad I could hardly think. And ever since that Sunday, I think was October the 9th, I've been kind of discouraged. So all of October, all of November, and I've just been kind of trying to get it back. And the best way to get it back is scripture. Because if for some reason, when you get discouraged, praying becomes more difficult. And it's like your best friend is that you used to pray to was right there next to you. Now he's like 1,000 miles away, and you can't read his facial expressions or his body language. You can't hear his response. And it just feels like prayer just isn't as beneficial when you get down or discouraged or low energy, because I was low energy. And but the reading the scripture, that love, you start to feel that love again, and that he is right here next to you. And so, yeah, that was a valuable lesson to learn because I was not reading scripture enough. I was not praying enough. I was just tired. It beat me down. It was about a good 6 weeks of extensive nightmares every single night. And, but sure enough, once I got discouraged, I apologized to the Lord. I tell him I'm weak. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me for being so discouraged. And he pulled all the stuff back. He's so good. He wants to give us as much as we can take. But when we just say, please let up a little bit, Lord, he lets up. He pulls the stuff back, and he becomes that picture where he's holding 3 wolves back from you, that little innocent lamb. Talking about Jesus, the book of the covenant from the Ethiopian Bible. I am looking into it. The book of the covenant. Okay. Yeah, that Ethiopian Bible is interesting, right? They have Enoch in that Bible, I'm pretty sure. Jonathan, I'm on page 300 in the Bible. I got to finish that, and the Tibetan Book of the Dead. That's a cool book. I have no idea. I'll take your word. But I try not to read too much of any like book of a different religion, just because I don't want to confuse myself and clutter my mind. Yes, I want more knowledge, not ready, said Russell. Hey, Russell. How you doing, my friend? Hello, just noticed you on my YouTube. How's it going? Well, it's going pretty good, Russell, because it looked a little bit scary there for a minute because I banged my ceiling to communicate to the person above me to chill out on the noise. And then he threw a full-blown temper tantrum, and all I said was shut up. But they said they lied and said that we were outside arguing and cussing and everything. They always lie. But basically, they're going to move me for free. And instead of having to pay $250 to move, and they want to move me on the top floor. I still want the bottom floor because my dog can't really do stairs very well. So I'm stoked. Just 1 or 2 more weeks of this guy trying to make my life a living hell, and I'll be in a new place. And I'm totally self-sufficient. So when I get to the new unit, there's going to be 3 new roommates, and they won't see hide nor hair of me. I'm never entering the living room or the kitchen. I'm never going to make a lot of noise, and I only have 3 months to make it before the lease is up, so I will not even complain. If someone's banging on my door, I'm not going to complain to anyone. If someone is taunting me in the same way these guys are, I won't complain. I'll maybe go in prayer and mention it to the Lord, but I'm moving beyond, and I'm getting out of this apartment complex, and I'm not going to reveal what I'm doing next, but I've got to employ some tactics that I think will save me. Yes, I want more knowledge. Hello, I just know. Okay, not ready. I got chicken. It brain. I got chicken. It brain fogged me for a month. Chicken? You ate chicken and then it did that? That's scary. Not ready. Let me know if you're eating chicken caused that, because I live off chicken practically. Not ready. Said again, prescription drugs give me vivid dreams. Oh man. I only once took prescription sleeping pills, and that was, wow, that was crazy. I had such vivid dreams that I would wake up more tired than if I didn't take any sleeping pills at all. You can. You can't. I'm not sure what that means. Not ready. Yeah, okay, yes, bad chicken. Okay. Oh, that's terrible. Was it pink? Was there a little bit of pinkness? Maybe it was just undercooked and you got salmonella. Not ready. Giant food stores. Yeah, I don't shop at Walmart. Gosh, but like once every 6 months, I'll go in there for something else and I'll see all those good deals. But I've heard too many scary things about the food from Walmart. So I go to Safeway, it's walking distance. Steve the Pigeon, I moved a year ago and they just moved to another apartment with all the gang stalkers set up around me in the new apartment. Yeah, and realistically, I know that's probably what's going to happen to me. But like, this guy was so abusive to me, and all I did was smile at him and share niceties for a whole year and a half before I finally started going, I know you're doing this on purpose. And so, I'm pretty good at not reacting. I was going to say taking abuse, but that sounds like wrong. No one wants to be good at taking abuse. Um, but I'm pretty good at not reacting. It's only after the same individual has been abusing me for a year and a half or more where I'm just like, you know what? That's enough. Get the heck out of my face. Leave me alone. Don't talk to me. Don't interact with me. Just stay away. I'm not ready. You can tell the texture is tough. So that may have been old if you felt the texture was kind of tough. Because like in restaurants, I used to watch Bar with John Taffer, Bar Rescue. And so often the restaurants or the bars would undercook the chicken. And John Taffer would throw a tizzy fit because he would say that chicken is going to cause the person that eats it to get salmonella poisoning and to get dehydrated because they're going to have diarrhea for days, and it could cause serious health problems. Anytime you're dehydrated for an extended period of time. Giant Martin's, not Walmart. Okay. I don't know what state they have those grocery stores. But I'm so glad to come out of that funk because I really got discouraged with all the witchcraft. I was under such heavy witchcraft. They must have hired like a new practitioner or changed up the tactics that they use or whatever. But I share too much information on this. They can get my photo, take a photo off of one of my videos and print it, and then take that photo to do witchcraft on an altar or whatever. It's just weird times we're living in. I can't even believe that I even believe in witchcraft. But the last 3 years, the last 7 years, I've just had so much demonic activity, so much witchcraft. that it's like I'd have to be insane not to believe it. I would have to literally think that reality doesn't exist for me to not believe in demonic activity and witchcraft and all that stuff. And then when you realize it's all tied into narcissism, and that you see the same exact tactics being used in someone that's brand new, that was used by your family member for years. So I was uh 20 when my brother married his wife, and she was in the top 3 of the most abusive people I've had in my life. And she would always run around following me around parties. And so, like, let's say I was in a conversation with 3 people. It's kind of normal to have somewhat of a circle. So that would be 4 of us, right? So sociology says that we stand where all of us have access to each other. So there's a group of 4 talking, right? She would insert herself into that group so that circle widens a little bit, but she would then only talk to and make eye contact with the other 3 people, like I wasn't even there. And then she would step forward and kind of have her shoulder and part of her back facing me. Now, instead of this, it's kind of like this, and I'm right here. So I've been excluded, no eye contact, only talking about things that she's interested in, but with such joy and enthusiasm, and looking at these people with such intensity and eye contact that they're nodding their heads and they're trying to act like they're enthusiastic too. Um, but then I would see, okay, I've been cut out of this situation, so I would just leave. And I'm really easy to start conversations, gregarious or whatever. I like people. So then I'd find a new group and just go, hey, what are you guys talking about? Oh, last Christmas, I remember that Kris Kringle game. That was hilarious. Yeah. And she'd run over again, and she'd follow me throughout the whole party. Well, there's someone in this apartment complex that started trying to get some information on me. And like an idiot, I shared more than I should have. But then, she started churning on me right after she was nice to get some information. And then I was talking to 2 people, a couple that is here in this apartment complex. And so there's 3 of us, right? And then she cuts in and she starts, it's like she was a spitting image of my sister-in-law in every single way except a different vessel. She did everything exactly the same, dominated the conversation, very enthusiastic, really getting good eye contact, and even drawing herself in and getting closer to these 2 people, which then kind of cut me out of the circle. And I just kind of looked at her like, you're my sister-in-law. You might have a different name, you might look different, but you share the same spirit. And I didn't even say goodbye. I just walked away. But it's so bizarre, isn't it? Let me read some of these. You can tell you can tell the texture's tough. Pennsylvania. Oh, okay. It's in Pennsylvania. Hi, Kimberly. Saying hi back. It's so bizarre. And isn't it bizarre how we graduate from being the family scapegoat into being targeted individuals? I thought when I went no contact with my family of origin in Los Angeles and moved 8.5 hours away, I thought, man, let the good times roll. And I'm not talking about, going out to nightclubs and partying. I'm just talking about peace and no one staring, burning holes in the side of my head at family gatherings, and people giving backhanded compliments, and literally feeling like you're a lamb going into a lion's den. These people enjoy causing death by 1,000 cuts. And they'll even if you're not in the group, or if they're not in your group, they'll observe you in the next group. and then kind of see like your brother give you a put down and go, oh, good, there's a good cut. I'll get a good cut in a few minutes, and so then that little circle breaks up, and they're thinking, okay, what's his buttons again, and it's like a whole sick system. And isn't that exactly the same as what we're dealing with when we're targeted? Because it's a whole community. And basically, it's the exact same thing. It's a sick system. And it's so bizarre that you have these churchgoers and even men of the cloth that are leading this crusade to try to get you to unalive yourself or to react so angrily or negatively that you're incarcerated for years, or to just start to numb yourself, do drugs, become unresponsible and depressed, become homeless, right? Then you've got no credibility and people don't want to listen to you. But I've seen some homeless YouTubers that have huge followings. And so, but they at least want to see you down and basically discredited, right? Because most people, if they don't know your backstory, they're going to look at you as a homeless person and think you deserve it. You were an abusive person, you became an alcoholic, and you got into methamphetamines, and here you are. You probably were incarcerated for theft and criminal activity for several years, and because you were an ex-con, when you got out, you couldn't get a job, and your family members probably disowned you because you're so bitter, and so that's unless they talk to you and they see the sobriety in your eyes and they see a well-functioning mind when you talk, and they see that really it was just a chain of events, a bunch of unpleasant circumstances. Yeah. Not ready. Yeah, and I was agreeing with what you just said. Oh, goody, about to be homeless. Don't have to, just want to. Yeah, I went homeless 6 months and it was by choice. And I think that's the best way to do it, right? Because then at least if you're going into it by choice, you've already got a way in your mind on how to get out of it. Because it was about the 4th month of living out of my truck where I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get out of being homeless now. And I started praying a lot for him to help me get back into an apartment. And it was easy, as long as you don't have a terrible criminal record, or that's why I'm so nervous about them threatening to break the lease, because that can really follow you and really make it hard to get an apartment in the future. Yeah, it's funny. I was talking with someone that this today about the reason we never bought a house is because we never wanted to be tied down to just one spot. And isn't it kind of like God's children to value, truth and freedom? Even Jesus, when you look at a map and you see how far he traveled all over the place. Same with Paul. These guys were just on the move. And I really hope that digital ID doesn't ruin that, because that's coming. That's going to be here. They say 2 to 3 years max. More likely, a year and a half to 2.5 years, somewhere in there. Man, this stuff's changing fast. AI is now able to fully instruct itself. They've already exposed every single bit of information they can to AI. And now it's just growing exponentially. It's intelligence, and it's kind of reaching into its potential, you might say. So we got AI going crazy in its rapid growth and taking over. We've got the discontinuing of the penny already, and the nickel costs 15 cents to make, and so that'll be next. And all of money will be discontinued shortly thereafter. So thus the digital currency. And They're going to tie that into, if they can get it implemented, which I believe it's too late, it's going to happen. If they get the digital ID implemented, then you have to have all your vaccines and every bit of information about you, even what political party you're aligned with, and everything is going to be on that digital ID. And so they're saying, I've heard it said that if that reaches that level of control, that we will not be able to drive from one state to another without having to pass through the checkpoint, like Russia, to where they'll check your digital ID. And if you don't have all the I's dotted and T's crossed, you'll be sent home and you won't be allowed to travel. And I want to travel as much as possible in America, but I think we're kind of running out of time. It should be easy, almost 55. What should be easy? Not ready. I looked up at how long I've been going, and it was 50. I was born on January 5th, so 5 is my favorite number. It was 55 minutes and 55 seconds. All right, you guys. Hey, I got 9 people here and 9 likes. Thank you for the likes. Get an apartment. Oh, get an apartment. Oh, it should be easy. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to be turning 59 in a couple weeks. Well, I guess more like 3 weeks. Man, that's too close to 60. Staring down the barrel at 60. Because I really see people age quickly between like age 58 and 65. Now, granted, that is 7 years, but people look, there's a big age difference in how people look in between those 2 ages. So I feel like I'd better start eating really healthy and exercising more. But anyways, you look great for your age. Thank you, Kimberly. I think you've said that to me before, but maybe not. Maybe it was some other female. But flattery, everyone loves a little bit of flattery. Enigmatic photon, haha. Not ready, y'all. Well, you guys, I really appreciate you stopping by. Oh, look, we just got someone new who just came on board. But no matter what, we will get discouraged. But as long as you know that it's going to be temporary, and that when you do come back, that you pray the Lord breathes his strength and his life into you, and that he be merciful for how you got discouraged. Because when we get discouraged, we're tempted to fall back into those cycles of sin. And that would need repentance and a request for mercy and forgiveness. Steve the Pigeon, I don't understand how these gang stalkers never question their actions. Yeah, it's people that aren't real deep thinkers, right? I mean, chosen ones are deep, you know? And people that like to bully others, especially group bullying, several people against one individual, that's real low energy, real low class, real low everything, Like, I can't stand it when I see, I hate to say it, but it usually is black kids, YNs, they call them, will stomp out one person. 5 people stomping out this person that's on the ground. It's just like, you are not a man. No man would do that. If you're a man with integrity, there's no way you would do that. That's unacceptable. That's evil. That's cruel. That's enough adjectives. Yes, this is so timely for me. Thank you. Oh, I'm glad, enigmatic photon. So, someone give me something to talk about. I won't go much longer, unless you want me to. But it sure will be nice to start over in a new apartment. And these people that will be my roommates will never see me. Of course, except walking my dog or whatever. But I mean, in the living room, the kitchen, I'm going to try to never go in there once. Never even take any seasoning in there, anything. And that's the way I have it now. I literally have everything I need to be self-contained in my own bedroom. And then freedom. 3 months of living in a brand new environment where 1 or 2 of my 4 roommates, or maybe, oh no, 3 roommates, probably only 1 or 2 will be a stalker, but possibly all 3. But it's only 3 months. And they're going to be thinking their tactics are brand new, but they will not know that I've been hardened. I'm a hardened soldier, warrior, being exposed to these exact same tactics since day one. So you do your tactics. I got my earplugs. I got my Gregorian chants. I got my Bible. I got my prayer. And I can always just cut out. You know, when this guy was getting really noisy, banging pots and pans every night, I would just, the minute he stepped in the kitchen, I'd go out to my car and just read a good book for an hour, couple hours, watch some videos, and then maybe even leave Ozzy in the car and come and run and check if he was done yet. Because it's clearly done to irritate me. And if he's still in there banging pots and pans and he sees me come back, it's gonna ratchet up, and I'll stay in there for an extra long time too. So I wouldn't want to come back without seeing that he's done trying to aggravate me. Bike. What did I mention? A bike? Not ready? Yeah, I do have a 2022 Milwaukee 8 114 engine Harley Davidson Softail Street Bob. My downstairs neighbor never leaves, and it feels like the inly purpose in life is bullying me. Same here. This guy, man. And I've had so many people in my life that it seems like they never leave, and they're just dialed in on you. It seems like you're the only thing they have in your life, and they want to destroy you. It's like, dude, why do you want to destroy me? If you destroy me, your whole life is gone. I make up your whole day, your whole life. If you destroy me, what are you going to have? You know? Enigmatic Photon. I feel so blessed to live alone, although only fairly recent. I know the struggle of being a targeted individual my entire life, and having points in my life where I was forced to live with aggression. Yeah, boy, sure does teach you tolerance, doesn't it? And it really does teach you how to employ your own tactics that can save your sanity, even if it's just getting out of that environment. Not ready. Get 500-watt computer speakers and play thunderstorms while you sleep on max volume. Yeah, yeah. That's cool. Enigmatic Photon. Yes. Yes is such a good word, right? The most positive word in the English language. Well, thanks for joining me, y'all. I'm glad to spend this time with you. I appreciate you being willing to spend some time with me, because mainly I was a little bit still worked up over, I mean, it was only about an hour that I had left that office with the managers before I started this video. And so you guys helped me by letting me just run my mouth to bring me back down to baseline. Russell, yeah, get a 100-watt stereo and play Sam Kinison CDs directed to your ceiling. I don't know. You know, but when you're a chosen one, these apartment managers love to blame you and love to come down on you for some reason. And all they need is one of these toxic people complaining about you regularly for them to really, on some level, completely believe that you deserve maltreatment. Yeah, you have a good night too, Enigmatic Photon. Not ready. I did the thunderstorm trick. You can't hear the bangs. Oh, but mine, it's feeling them. I mean, the noise is not as um, violent and annoying as feeling it, feeling the whole building shake. I mean, the first week I lived here, I was leaning against that wall, that cinder block wall, and I heard three loud footsteps, and then I felt that cinder block wall move. And it's like I took three running steps, maybe put a pillow on his shoulder or something, and ran into the wall. And I felt, and I mean, I only lived here like 7 days at the time, and I felt the cinder block wall give a little bit. Kind of like the demon banging on the floorboards from the basement and lifting me up. Crazy stuff, man. This life. I'm grateful for the company too. They love having me isolated. Yeah. Thank God for YouTube and the internet, because if I had to go through this level of abuse, let's call it what it is, by basically everyone, because I don't know how they get so quickly to the people I talk to. And then there is one person that I talk to, and he stays pretty nice, and I'm like, they haven't gotten to you. No one's come to you and said, I'm a murderer, I'm a huge drug addict, a pedophile, or any of these things. It's like, no, not one single person has talked to me. And it seems a little too emphatic, like not one single person has spoken to me. Oh, how about two or three? I mean, so my discernment tells me they've gotten to him already, and they're telling him to buddy up with me, right? Isn't that what at least half the gang stalkers seem to want to do? They want to buddy up to you so they can abuse you. They want to buddy up to you so you drop your guard. Not ready. Well, yes, 500 watts will feel it. Agree so much. Thank God for the communities. Yes, yes, yes. Because birds of a feather like to flock together, right? And yet there's not too many. Like in this whole town of Flagstaff, how many people are really in an intimate relationship with Jesus? And if I were lucky enough to meet one of them, they probably would have already have believed the smear campaigns. And if they hadn't heard them, normally just by seeing that now I'm speaking to this person and we enjoy each other's company, they'll get to that person. So I am completely isolated, and I see the switch up in anyone I start talking to. And when you get dirty looks from just so many people you don't know, and you get really dirty looks from people that you do know and that you were on good terms with, like last week, twice, I got fully yelled at with cuss words involved when all I tried to do was start conversation with this person. But I believe he's one of my gang stalkers. And both times I'm just like, I don't do drama. And I just turned my back on him and went about my business. Oh, the second time I said, so if you got to use cuss words and raise your voice, find someone else. I don't do that. And then I turned and walked away. But I did tell him that I was like that. Now that's the second time in 1 week where you're coming at me like this. I don't appreciate it. Don't do it. So I don't know if that's a good way to end it. Because, we are allowed to be assertive. But as long as you don't act inappropriate, so you don't want to yell or cuss, but you are allowed to say, that's twice in 1 week where you've raised your voice and cussed at me. And he was like, well, you just raised your voice at me. I was like, no, I didn't. He was like, yeah, I guess you didn't. So like in his mind, he's thinking things that aren't happening. It was kind of strange. But anyways, I love you guys. Thank you for the support on this channel. You helped me tonight quite a bit. I'm hearing some sighs. Some woman is, but they're so smart. It's like you can't hear it, but I can hear the sign that's loud enough for me to hear, but you can't, it's not loud enough for you to hear. Because these vents, they make so much noise, this air that's being piped in, because it's like in the 30s outside right now. So they're trying to pump in a lot of heat. But anyways, I wish you all well. Thank you for being here. God bless you. Have a good night.